You need to stop listening to all the influencers out there who say they've cleared their acne with this one product or this one ingredient. Guys, acne doesn't work that way. Acne is a highly complex skin disorder, and it comes in all shapes and sizes. It's even caused by different types of bacteria. In this video today, I'm going to talk about one specific type of fungal acne called Pitiosporum folliculitis or Malassezia folliculitis. It is actually caused by a natural occurring yeast on the body, and when it gets inside of the follicle, it can actually become a little infected. And when you're looking at it, it actually looks like little reddish or little whitish style bumps. And it can actually look red and white at the same time. If you suspect that this is what's going on, you can go to a dermatologist and they can take a scraping of your skin and send it off to the lab. Now, a lot of dermatologists may not even do this. They may just assume that you have folliculitis. If there's not a lot of reason to actually get it tested because it's almost easier to just get a prescription for it or get on some topical products instead of actually having it tested. And a lot of times when these tests go to the lab, they actually give inconclusive results. Why? I'm not really sure, but I did read that out in a medical paper and a study that they actually did on it. And another way you can determine if you have folliculitis or this type of fungal acne is you can actually go on Google and search up images for folliculitis. Now, I would be specific to the part of your body that you have it on because it can look a little different, and also be mindful that sometimes Google's not always true. It's not always accurate. People will mislabel images thinking that's what is going on in the body when it's really, in fact, something else. And then the final way I would recommend trying to figure out if you have fungal acne is you can actually extract it yourself or go to a professional acne specialist, a licensed esthetician in your area. If you want to extract it yourself, this is what I'm going to recommend that you do. One, wash your face really well with warm water, not hot and not cold. You can even put a warm compress on the skin and on the infected area. And then when you go into extract it, make sure your skin is dry, your hands are dry, because you don't want to be slipping all around and messing it all up when you're extracting it. Okay. So when you go to extract it, you are going to take your fingers. There's different ways of do it. You can use your little fingernails. You can push out like this, push out the skin this way. Just be careful not to damage your skin. If it hurts, just stop doing it. Generally, extractions aren't very comfortable and they probably are going to hurt a little bit. But here's the deal. When you're extracting folliculitis versus a whitehead or a blackhead, it will extract differently. Traditionally, there's always a little gray area sometimes when it comes to skin. Not gonna lie, guys, acne is highly complex. A whitehead or a blackhead is gonna come out usually maybe a little simpler. It is going to come out more in a solid mass. When you're extracting folliculitis, it's gonna come out stringy, very thin, and it may actually not come out at all, but generally a whitehead or a blackhead may not come out at all either. So it is difficult to actually figure out if you have folliculitis or fungal acne through this method, but it is an option. And if it's something that you're willing to try, you can go for it. There goes my cat. I'm Elizabeth Steffen. I'm a licensed esthetician with over 20 years experience in the industry and over 10 years experience, well, maybe not over 10 years, but about 10 years experience of actually working with clients who suffer from acne. I'm super passionate about helping people clear their skin with acne and other types of skin issues as well, so you can live your dream skin life. I know that probably makes no sense, but here's the deal. When you go out in public and you have acne, a lot of people are afraid to go out in public. They're ashamed of their skin or they're shy. And when you have clear skin, you're going to have so much more confidence. And that is something I'm absolutely and love doing and helping people achieve. When I'm in my spa and I'm working with clients or even my staff, like new estheticians that I bring on right out of school, and they try to tell me what works and what doesn't with acne, I'm like, oh, stop. I go, you've been TikToked. So what does that actually mean? It really just means like, you don't know what you're talking about. I don't mean to sound rude or mean, but I said at the very beginning of this video, acne is super complex. It really is. And I've had so many people over the years say, I've tried this or I've tried that. And they're trying to tell me what to do, but yet their skin's not clear. So why are you coming to me? Listen, it's okay if you've been TikToked. I get influenced on the internet as well. I get the shiny object syndrome problem just like everybody else. But when it comes to acne, I'm pretty good at what I do. But here's the deal. I'm still learning. And sometimes if you are on TikTok, which I actually don't have a TikTok account at the time of this, but if you're on social media, listening to what other people are saying, are they an acne specialist? If they're an acne specialist, I'm sure they can probably help you. There are definitely a bunch of us out there, across the world now, across the globe, across the United States that can really help people with acne. But just be super mindful of the credentials and the work experience they've had, not only maybe in clearing themselves, but clearing hundreds of people. Because I'll tell you, I still have clients that come in. I don't see a whole lot of new clients in my spa, but I do still get them. I usually, I run the business, so I don't have a lot of time to actually work with clients. But I'm still stumped. I still try really hard to work on people with the hardest cases possible. Like, they literally come to me, and I'm still challenged. But guess what? With trial and error, I can still get people clear. And that just comes from a lot of experience. So when you're on the internet and you're on social media, don't get TikToked unless if it's from somebody truly experienced, okay? All right, let's move on. Remember how I said acne comes in all sorts of different forms? If you want to learn more about that, I do have a book where you can get for free on my website. The link will be in the description or the show notes, and it's called Filter Free and Flawless. It's a journey of my opportunity and time to work with people in the treatment room. I've got lots of images in the book. I've actually got some of folliculitis, of fungal acne. And if you just want to learn a little bit more, you can go ahead and grab that book for free. You do have to pay for shipping and handling though. Okay, back to fungal acne. When you have it, you have pretty much a yeast infection on the skin. Please don't be ashamed of this whatsoever. We all have this yeast on our body. It is a natural occurring yeast and everybody has it. It's just that some people tend to react from it. And why does it actually happen? We're not even totally sure, but the assumption is that the microbiome of the skin is out of whack. And when it's out of whack, an overgrowth of the yeast actually is going to occur. The hair follicles become infected and extremely difficult to get under control. I had a client years ago that came to me who had a case of it. And when she first came to me, she was actually seeing a dermatologist at the same time. And we said, okay, let's postpone what we're going to do, and you can take the prescription that the doctor gave you. And 2 weeks later, she comes back to me and her skin was like 3 times worse. I am not kidding you. It's not that the dermatologist wasn't a good dermatologist. She just had a reaction to this cream. Now, there was a certain ingredient in there that I'm pretty sure is what created more issues in her skin, but she knew then, and her mom also knew, to stop. Now listen, when I'm working with clients, I never tell them, get off a medication. Okay, that is not my job. I am not a physician. I am a licensed esthetician. I do work with skin, so do dermatologists. But when it comes to medical side of things, I stay out of it. That is outside of my scope of practice. So I would never tell anybody to stop taking a prescription. So there's no medical advice in this video, guys. Disclaimer right there. So the yeast actually feeds on oil and debris inside the skin. And when I think she was on that product, there was an ingredient in there called isopropyl myristate, and it's an emollient type ingredient and actually drives products into the skin. So in essence, that's a good thing. You know, we want to drive ingredients into the skin. But the thing is that it's kind of fatty, and folliculitis, fungal acne, thrives on oil and debris. So it was counterproductive for folliculitis. Fungal acne and folliculitis is often found like on the T-zone because that's where we're most oily on faces, the back of arms, legs, the chest, and the back. So what actually causes fungal acne? I'm going to be honest with you guys, there's actually not a lot of research on it. It's hard to find people who actually have that condition who are going to go through proper medical testing or research testing. That's actually a really highly complex thing. I don't have my PhD, but I do consider myself educated because I study all the time, because I enjoy it. But when I've studied people who have their PhDs and I've listened to how they've actually gone through the process, I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, to write a thesis and then write 100 and 125 page paper based on that thesis is a pretty incredible feat. And to actually study acne in that way, highly difficult. From my experience, I mostly see teenagers with fungal acne. I think it's because their hormones are going crazy, they're producing a lot more oil, and as we get older, that oil production starts to slow down, unfortunately. Teenagers also have raging hormones, good for you guys. They usually produce more oil. They're dirtier. Not gonna lie, I got a teenager. Yeah, he does take showers and stuff, especially when he's playing sports. But sometimes hygiene may not be the best with teenagers. And also, they have poor eating habits. Not gonna lie. A lot of times teenagers, they're just consuming more sugar, more highly processed foods. A lot of them are just busy. My son is in sports. He's in school. He's studying all the time. He works for me part-time. The kid is really busy and he doesn't want to cook. So his eating habits aren't the best. I mean, yeah, I cook for him, but if he's on his own, which is a lot of the time, to make his own food, he's going to go for the crackers and cheese and the easy things. So diet can definitely play a role in why fungal acne actually happens. They can also have sensitivities to dairy, gluten, medications, marijuana. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, teenagers may be doing drugs. They might be experimenting. They may be doing using nicotine as well. All of these factors can actually have an effect on what's going to happen on the surface of our skin. I get the question all the time, what causes acne? I can say it's so many different things. I have an esthetician friend who gave up alcohol and her skin finally cleared up. She'd been working with skin for years, but when she gave up sugar, I think it was sugar and alcohol, her skin got so much better. But here's the deal. When people come to me for help with their skin, I can almost always help them. I can't always make a full guarantee because a lot of the work is going to depend on the person actually following my instructions. And not only that, but kind of figuring things out on their own as part of their coach. I'm here to guide them, give them the right products, and from there they have to use the products and then make a couple self-adjustments along the way. But the amazing thing is that I clear about 90 to 95% of my clients that actually come through my doors. So there is help. Now, my favorite ingredient to help with fungal acne is mandelic acid. What is mandelic acid? It's an alpha hydroxy acid traditionally derived from the bitter almond. It's a tree or a plant or a shrub. I'm not totally sure, but it is the bitter almond and it's actually poisonous if you eat it. It can actually turn into cyanide. So don't eat bitter almonds, but it's great for the skin. Now, it is often actually made in a laboratory now. So when I was doing research for this video, I didn't know that, but I made that assumption because I know that's how a lot of things are made in cosmetic chemistry. And when I looked at this, I was like, oh, okay. So I kind of wonder the safety. My favorite ingredient to help clear fungal acne is called mandelic acid. Mandelic acid is traditionally derived from the bitter almond, but it is often manufactured in a laboratory now. When I am working with my clients, I have a couple different options to choose from when I want to put somebody on mandelic acid. And it mostly depends on what type of other acne conditions that I'm actually working with, which means when somebody comes to me, they often don't just have one type of acne. Oh no, I'm dealing usually with multiple types of acne, different shapes, different sizes, and different types of bacteria found on the skin. Mandelic acid traditionally will exfoliate the surface of the skin. It's a very gentle exfoliating product, but it has antibacterial, antifungal ingredients that kind of eat away at that yeast that is found on the skin. So it's not only eating away at that yeast, but it's actually exfoliating the skin as well. And it's removing that oil and debris that the yeast feeds on. So it's actually doing two things in one. And that makes treating multiple types of acne much easier to do when you're using something like mandelic acid. I hope that makes sense. So, like for instance, glycolic acid, which is so much more common. A lot of people hear that. They're like, let's use glycolic acid or salicylic acid. Those are both great. They both offer multiple things with the skin, but like glycolic will exfoliate the skin, but it's not actually going to eat away at the bacteria as well. And so that's why I often opt for mandelic acid. And not only that, but mandelic acid is a lot gentler than glycolic because when people come to me, they often have sensitive skin. They've had reactions to products. They've been on all these different products that have created chaos in their skin. You know, their microbiome is totally out of whack. And when you're starting to put harsh things on like glycolic acid, I'm a glycolic acid fan, okay? And I do use it in small doses when I'm working with my acne clients. But mandelic acid is often a much safer approach for people. When I have acne clients on my table, whether it's the first time they're seeing me or the sixth or seventh time, I have to actually triage what is going on in their skin. For instance, if somebody comes, I live in the Midwest, I live in central Illinois. If somebody's coming to me in the middle of winter and I'm getting their skin clear, my products can be a little drying on their skin. And as the drying process happens, they're kind of uncomfortable. So I have to triage their skin and make sure their skin is hydrated and balanced, keep that skin's microbiome as healthy as possible. And that is the process that I have to do every appointment. So when I'm choosing products for their skin, I have to remember that. Are they dry? Are they oily? So I have different levels of products or different levels of percentage of solution that the mandelic acid is found in each product. The first one that is the gentlest on the people's skin is a mandelic acid cleanser. Now, I don't have it sitting here with me right now, but my mandelic acid cleanser is something that I personally use on my skin. It's very gentle. I still have acne, but it's kept mostly under control. But when I have a breakout, I'm like, break out the mandelic acid cleanser for sure, because within 1 or 2 days, all that acne is pretty much gone. The next step I would take with somebody is using a mandelic 10%. It actually has a little lactic acid in it as well, but my 10% mandelic acid serum is gentle enough for most people, and I will start them off using it every other day in the morning. I do have a 15% mandelic acid, and I really only reserve that for people who have really tough skin, who aren't sensitive, and maybe they've been on my acne program for a little while and we're struggling to get that final level of clearness going on in their skin. In my self-guided acne coaching program, I list out all the different ways that people can progress on their own through my program. And I will have that link in the description if you want to learn more about that. Thanks for watching, guys, and be sure to subscribe and like this video.